Hey traders, welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. Today is Thursday, December 3rd, and in today's video, we're going to discuss new stimulus bill potentially getting approved before the end of the week. We'll see if there's any development on that. We'll also discuss SPY hitting a new all-time high, and we'll go over some news and events and some brief charting. And before we jump into today's content, make sure to smash like. It shows me some support. I'd appreciate it, and consider subscribing to the channel. So we'll look at some news and events as the first part of the video today, but just a heads up that I do have a dentist appointment to go to, so I'll be cruising through this a little bit faster today. We do have quite a few news articles to go over as well, so we'll do this as quickly as possible. So Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell will speak as Congress rushes to strike a new stimulus deal, and we saw some rhetoric about McConnell saying that the stimulus and compromise is within reach. We can do this, so showing some positivity. That's likely why SPY is blasting to new highs, in my opinion. And I found this a little bit scary. Would you be willing to get a shot for the cure in exchange for $1,500 in stimulus checks? So how one bold proposal would work. So apparently we're at a divide right now. The government is trying to figure out how to get these shots out to the American public, and then the American people are just concerned about stimulus checks. And one proposal from former Congressman John Delaney aims to help both sides by providing stimulus checks in exchange for getting the shot. So I don't know, that the goal is to reach 75% rate a faster rate, which could save lives in both the US economy. But I don't know, there's something fishy about that, trying to entice people to get the shot and paying them $1,500. We also saw an article about, can your employer require you to get the shot? Here's what experts say, so you can read this on your own time, but essentially what they say is, in general, yes, employers are able to mandate that. So you can check that out on your own terms. I did see that a lot of people are interested in a 4-day work week as well, as a result of everything that's happened in the economy, which wouldn't be a bad idea in my opinion. We also saw that Wisconsin Supreme Court won't hear Trump election lawsuit. So tried, but yeah, it's no bueno. On that front, jobless claims came in as well today. For initial jobless claims in the US came in at 712,000 last week versus 780,000 estimate. So just taking a look here at the economic calendar. So again, 775K was predicted, came in at 712K, which is a beat, and prior week was at 787. Moving on from there, we saw the US Labor Board accuses Google of spying on employees, discouraging worker organization and retaliation. We also saw that the Department of Justice sues Facebook, says it discriminated against US workers by reserving jobs for temporary visa holders. Also, we saw Jim Chanos cuts painful Tesla short and sticks with bear bet on IBM. So he said it's painful. He trimmed the size of his max short in his fund, which was 5% of the capital. Absolutely just wrecked. We saw Warner Bros. Will launch every 2021 movie on HBO Max at the same time they hit theaters. So what's that going to do for theaters like AMC? It's not looking good. That's going to drive even more people away from physically going to the theater. And this was shared by a member, so shout out to PAL Group member Carter Hackett. US regulators approve Enbridge Line 3 pipeline project. So good news for Enbridge. And that was a couple of days old, but did fall through the cracks. So I wanted to highlight for all of you people that are interested in Enbridge. Also, just an update on the Canadian cannabis beverage market. So after less than a year, this is David George Koss. He's a BNN Bloomberg reporter specifically focused on the marijuana space. So after less than a year of having their cannabis-infused drinks hit the Canadian market, Canopy Growth has lost its first mover advantage to Truss, which is the joint venture of HEXO and Molson Coors Canada, which now claims the market share lead in the burgeoning pot drinks category. So taking a look here, you can see HEXO has now claimed market share at 35%. Next we have Canopy, next we have Tilray, next we have T-God and others. So nice to see. That was 10:25 a.m. December 3rd. And just think about this for a second. Canopy had a 6-month head start. We've only, HEXO and Truss have only been selling their drinks through the Molson Coors partnership for a couple of months. They haven't had a full earnings report. They have earnings in a couple of weeks. They have the vote coming up about the reverse split next week. What I'd like to see is that get denied. The share price has stayed above $1 now for 3 trading days. So let's just get it back over $1, $2, you name it, and forget about the reverse split. If that happens, I could see a lot of people coming next week into the stock because they don't have to worry about that cloud over their head about a reverse split. So if that gets called off, I could see a short-term catalyst. I think it's pretty much priced in at this point that they're going to do the reverse split. But what's not priced in is if they cancel the reverse split, then we see a ton of people come into the stock because they don't have that cloud of worry over their head. And then next week after that, we have their earnings, which will have their cannabis infused beverages. We already know that their market share leader right now, they're on their earnings call, they said that they were #1 in terms of beverages sold at the till. So it's looking really good. Their Original Stash won brand of the year, and they have the hash, the flour, the concentrate, the distillate. So for dabbing and that type of thing, they've got literally something for everybody, and they have their hand in pretty much every aspect of the market. They're competing with the black market. They're looking to destroy the illicit market. And in my opinion, it could be 2 huge catalysts. Then we also have the vote in the House today and tomorrow. We could see results from that. This could get really, really huge, guys. And it's looking good. We're seeing more and more coverage every day about HEXO. Reminds me exactly of Tesla before Tesla turned a profit. Essentially, there were just an article day after day after day after day of analysts covering the ticker and the stock and just, spreading FUD. And basically they go on to say that they have great track record. They have a great partnership. They lost a lot of money in 2020 and in 2019. The stock's struggling, but bottom line, it's worth a flyer. And I'm really a fan of low price stocks, particularly those operating in competition intensive consumer cyclical industries. With HEXO, I'm willing to make an exception for several reasons. First, noted above, the Canadian dispensary market is firming, and HEXO has avenues to augment any weakness in recreational cannabis with beverages. Second, while it may be the time before HEXO enters the US, it does have growth levers to pull outside of Canada. For example, its marketing trust in Mexico, a country that's increasingly warm to the idea of legalized recreational cannabis. Stock is still legitimately undervalued. The shares are at 113, but some analysts believe the stock can rise to 156 on the US side, implying significant upside. So if we've only been selling in Canada with a population of 30 million people for a couple of months, what's going to happen when Mexico is legalized? What's going to happen when the US gets legalized and we have access to 330 million people, plus in Mexico another 10 to 100 million people that we have in Latin, and maybe we go into other countries. We have Israel as well. So maybe we get a supply agreement there. We also have a lot more ads and stuff like that I see. I see a ton of people posting about Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat about seeing HEXO commercials. And that's because they can't do it through traditional television and national TV. So it's wait until they can advertise this at a large scale. Wait until we have Mexico. Wait until we have the US. Oh my God, there's so much upside potential for this stock. It's not even funny. And I absolutely love the products. I'm going to digress there for now, but that's where we stand. Seeing more and more coverage on HEXO reminds me, just like Tesla before it turned a profit. There was every day we were seeing a new article. Some were bearish, some were bullish, and it was just a very mixed bag. And then the second they turned a profit in the first half of 2020, they never looked back, and it's been a story of the decade. And same thing could be true with HEXO, and obviously not to the same scale. It's probably not going to be joining the S&P 500 anytime soon, but the same thing could be true if we see a profit being turned in 2021. So SPY pulling back here from its new all-time high. Let me just bring up the 5-minute chart here. So we got about 14 minutes left in the trading day, and not sure what's going on with my chart here. Doesn't seem to want to load. Looks like the sell-off broke it. That's not what we want to see. So looks like we may have some news. S&P gives up gain, turns negative on report. Pfizer facing vaccine yeah, shots, the cure supply chain issues. So we are dipping on that news. Just taking a look at HEXO here, hasn't dipped yet. Cron holding up. CGC dipped quite a bit there as well as a result of SPY dropping. Just take a look at some indices. QQQ gave it up as well. Bitcoin, so everything pulling back together here. We are bouncing now. US oil, gold didn't care. The dollar saw a little bit of a spike, but nothing much. So before we jump into some overall indices, I just want to bring up the Bitcoin chart. So I am in a Bitcoin trade from this morning, and looks like TradingView is having some lagging issues, but we did have this ascending triangle here on the hourly, and that's what I entered off of. So I entered here on this higher low around 19,200s and sold here when we broke above the 19,500. That was my target, was 19,500. Sold, and I rebought back here on pretty much my original entry at the 19,200. Have my stop just below that, and looking to see another potentially hourly higher low and higher high in continuation. Also, we saw the update on stimulus. So if stimulus does get passed, that's going to be bullish for Bitcoin. So looking to potentially see a 20K break and holding that position. But like I said, having a very tight stop, as if we do break that low, we'll confirm an hourly downtrend. So taking a look at the dollar. So again, the dollar trying to get a bounce going. It's just getting smoked on the daily. It's daily oversold. So we'll want to see a change of the 4-hour trend back to the bulls to be confident that the daily bounce is underway. And we'll also want to see us break the high of the previous day, which still got about 3 hours left in this candle. So that's where we stand. Just take a look here. IWM still up over 0.5%. NASDAQ down 2.8%. SMH semiconductor just barely green on the day. SPY hit a new all-time high, just holding here flat pretty much. QQQ up about 0.25% after hitting a new all-time high as well. TAN solar sector ETF down over 1%. US oil is still up over almost 1.5%. Gold still trucking along. Same with silver. Nothing really to report there. XBI, so the biotech sector, up about 0.75%. XHB home builder ETF up over 2%. So the home builder ETF seeing some decent gains. XLE energy sector up over 1%. XLF. So we didn't hit all-time highs in a lot of these names. So we want to see, if we expect to see a lot more continuation in SPY and QQQ, we want to see the rest of these sectors like the healthcare and the financial and the energy sector all hitting new highs at the same time. And we're not anywhere as close on the financial sector from doing that. So just take another look into SPY here. So we are looking to potentially close the day red. This isn't looking good. We had an EMA bear cross there as well. So could end the day red after breaking to a new all-time high. That is definitely a red flag in the short term. But again, we could have really expected that we probably weren't going to see much follow through with all the other sectors not following along. We want to see more sectors hitting the high of the day and new all-time highs to be confident that SPY and other tickers and like QQQ can do the same, can continue to press and to surge on. So NEO down over 5%, Costco down a little over 2%, Facebook down on that news of the Department of Justice. Shop down. Let's take a look at the bull list. So Riot just beasting up almost $10. It was at 50 cents back in March. So congrats to the bulls. You are sitting on a ton of gains if you haven't sold. Apple turned red on the day. Just taking a look at CGC here. So we did break to a new high that we've seen in, actually we did have the higher at 29.40. So we got very close to that high. We had 29.20, 29.21, and then we pulled back. We're now in a 5-minute downtrend. So it looks like hourly consolidation is underway. And I apologize for the sluggishness here. This TradingView platform is absolutely just clogged at the moment. So we could be watching this uptrend line here as well. So we'll see if we hold that. We also have EMA 12 and 26 period there on the hourly as well. But it looks like hourly consolidation has begun with that confirmed 5-minute downtrend. We broke the low of the previous candle. This could be potentially be an hourly bull flag. So we'll look to hold EMA 12. If we lose that, we'll look to EMA 26 as support, which is down around the EMA 12 is at 28.50, EMA 26 at 28.28. So if we do lose EMA 12, then chances of that being a bull flag are diminished. But we could drop about as far as 28.37 and still be considered an hourly bull flag. So that's where we stand. We got about 8 minutes left in the day. I've got a position in Bitcoin long, looking for some continuation. I've also got a position in HEXO. Also got a few other names, smaller names in my portfolio on the Canadian side and the American side, but my biggest position right now is in HEXO. Sold my Cron. And another thing about HEXO here, I wanted to mention, we could be shaping up. I haven't seen a chart this bullish in a really long time, to be honest with you. So taking a look here at the weekly chart on HEXO, if it would ever load. So obviously with this sell-off accelerating, we are seeing an exaggerated move here to the downside and a nasty sell-off going into the end of the day here. But overall, the MJ sector doesn't seem to be too phased by it. Truly pulling back here as well on that news. So HEXO, taking a look at the HEXO charts here. So you can see we have a weekly EMA 12 looking to cross bullish through EMA 26. So we'd have a potential weekly EMA bull cross there. We also have record weekly volume, and it's not even Friday yet, so that's notable. Again, we have the reverse split coming up next week, the decision on that. And then the next week after that, we have earnings. So like I said, this weekly EMA is curling up very, very bullish. Taking a look at the monthly, we're now in a monthly uptrend. Just want to see what we're looking at here for EMAs. And I'm going to wrap this up after I do this analysis because we are lagging big time on, and it's definitely not my internet connection because everything else is loading fine. So it's definitely a TradingView issue if you are wondering why your TradingView is slow. But you can see here that we had the golden cross on HEXO. That's why I sold my Cron. We already had the golden cross. We've seen the gains. HEXO just had the golden cross. Also, the 100 is crossing through the 200-day moving average, which should happen tomorrow officially. MACD is just skyrocketing on the daily. On the weekly, we have no resistance up until the 100 weekly moving average, which is all the way up at 283. MACD is crossed bullish as well. And looking at the daily chart, you can see, or sorry, the weekly chart, we're above the 10-week moving average. The MACD and the stochastic are blasting off. And on the monthly, we do want to get above EMA 12. We have resistance at 123. We need to break 123 to confirm that hourly high or low on HEXO and that the daily bounce is continuing. We are up another penny here as well. So even in the face of SPY weakness, we are trending higher. See how CGC is doing. I shouldn't have did that actually. Now it's going to take forever to load this chart. So anyway, we have EMA 26 to battle with after EMA 12 on the monthly chart on HEXO, and we haven't gotten above that in a while. It's been since the all-time high. So since we lost the all-time high, we haven't reclaimed that EMA 26, and we could potentially be lining up for a monthly bull cross as well. Not enough, it's not close enough to start expecting that anytime soon, but like I said, the weekly is getting close to a bull cross. If we get above EMA 12 on the monthly, which is at 124 and resistance at 123, we'll look to 133 as the next resistance, and then 150, and then basically $2 psychological. But after we get above EMA 26 on the monthly, there's not any resistance on the monthly from all the way up to all-time highs. So we're talking about 600% away from the all-time highs with no monthly resistance. That is notable. So that's where we stand. TrueLeaf selling off a little bit more here into the end of the day. Just taking a look at the bull and bear list over here. Ian up another 30 to 40% on the day. So it had earnings, and shout out to, can't remember who it was now. I think it was someone on YouTube. Too much going on lately, but shout out to whoever that was. I think it was Chris. But essentially they had earnings out. They had better than expected earnings, and they're starting to see some positive momentum and ship turning around. So congrats to the Ian Bulls, up huge over the last few days, coming off the low. I think it was at 7 cents. So huge monster move there. TAT, MedMen, CXXI, the next beneficiaries there. And on the way down, we're looking at MJNA, IIPR, likely due to potential passing of the House vote, and Chiron down 3% as well. So that's where we stand. TrueLeaf selling off a little bit here into the end of the day. CGC, here comes the accelerated sell-off here now. QQQ closing very bearish. CGC also closing weak. Cron still holding up. APHA, ACB holding up a little bit better. So going to be interesting to see if we get this vote from the House out tonight or tomorrow. If it does come out, hopefully we don't see SPY consolidation. If we see an extended consolidation in SPY, that could hurt the sector and the bulls in the marijuana space. But all eyes on that vote going into tonight. That's going to do it for today. We got about 30 seconds left before the end of the close. Looks like we're going to have a very bearish close on SPY. So make sure you have a plan and use a stop loss. Make sure that you use risk management and you know what it is that you're buying, because things are at all-time highs and eventually we're going to run out of buyers, and everything is great when we're in a bull market until we enter a bear market. And if you don't have a plan, things can go south in a hurry. So with that, thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rod with Powell Group. Thanks for joining us for another daily market recap, and we'll see you tomorrow for another daily market recap video.